and gentlemen, welcome to the Horizon Strength Podcast. My name is Jack Buffery. I am joined by the wonderful co-host Joshua Parkin, if you really want to annoy him. How are you doing, Josh?
Only my mother calls me that when she's angry.
Which is all the time.
All the time, yeah. Hello, everybody.
So this is a re-record because, again, I messed up the audio last time, but it's okay. There's still going to be surprises in store for everybody involved. But one of the things we're going to do is start off just a little bit different. And I'm going to give you the theme of this episode because I think it is worth noting down. And the theme of this is going to be resilience, and not in the David Goggins sense of the word. We're not going hardcore resilience, but it's just about what resilience is and how to build it. And that theme does touch on every point of this episode. And the other thing that I think is a good idea, and we got suggested to us actually, and it was actually a really good idea, so we decided to take it on board, and that is actually starting with the 24-hour challenge. So what we're going to do is set you the challenge now within 24 hours of listening to this, or if you listen to this in bits, maybe you're even going to do this before you finish listening to the episode. And that is, the 24-hour challenge this week is, I want you to think of the hardest and the hardest but most relevant thing that you can do right now. So it doesn't have to be hard just for the sake of being hard, although that's perfectly fine if you can't think of anything else. But I want you to think of something that's really difficult that you've maybe been putting off for a long time, or something difficult that you've always wondered if you can do. And within the next 24 hours, I just want you to go do it. Whether that is doing a hard run, like a longer distance or a faster time. We were just talking about running a second ago. Whether it's going to do some sort of workout. Maybe it's doing a hike you've never done before, or going to do a climb you've never done before, or going sea swimming in the cold. Whatever you can think of, something that's difficult. It doesn't even have to be fitness related. It can be going to tell your significant other that you broke their favorite cup and they've been wondering where it is for the last 3 months. Something hard that is going to get it done. Basically, go do that thing within 24 hours and let us know what the feedback is.
Yeah, eat that frog, as they say.
Eat that frog. Definitely eat that frog. So also, for those who don't know, you may assume that me and Josh just basically see each other all the time because we are business partners and we're co-hosts. But the fact of the matter is we hardly ever see each other. So Josh, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I've had a really nice morning. I worked this morning, we have an exercise class in the village, so I went and did that. Then I had to walk the dogs, and then I went for a nice run around a local big pond. I would say it's called Swamppool Lake.
Big pond.
Yeah, it's Swamppool Lake.
Big pond.
Yeah. Went for a run around that, and then because it's right next to the sea,
did you see that? Because everyone else is going to see that if you saw that. Damn it.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah. For those who don't know, Jack just dropped his coaster off the bottom of his cup. So, yeah, I went for a run around Swamppool Lake, and then I got into the sea straight after because it's next to the beach, and I parked there. So I just literally got changed, walked straight into the sea, and it was gorgeous. It's so nice out there today. It's like that. It's definitely colder, though. It's like that. We're starting to get that early cold coming already, which is nuts because it's only September. But
it was 6 degrees earlier on when I was on my way to the gym this morning. So it's not got. I don't know. I don't think it's been lower than 10 degrees for like 5 months maybe, or something like that. And it was it went to 6. That was a sharp drop, man. Like it seriously was. But yeah, I say we don't catch up that much. We got in the sea yesterday, went for a sauna. So where we live, there's a beach called Giddy Beach, and we've talked about the beach before. I can't remember if we've talked about the sauna though. There's a sauna on the beach, and we jumped in there for 45 minutes and done a couple of dips in the sea, and it was stunning. It was really the water was lovely and clear. It wasn't too windy. It was really nice. And so obviously it's had all summer to warm up. This is a really good time of year to get in the water because you find it's actually a bit warmer than what you expect.
I'm not going to lie, I completely forgot that I saw you yesterday.
That's fine.
I forgot. Yeah. We were in that sauna for a while as well. Because normally we do like 3 sea dips, and this time during that sauna, because you can get in and out, which is great. We only did two. No, we only did one.
One
We
during
did
the actual
one.
thing, and then we finished off with one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
so we did one sea dip. So we did a big old stint in it, and we kept bumping the heat up. And it was the first time in a sauna where towards the end I was feeling a little bit ropey. I was like, okay, I think I need to get out now.
It was when you
Yeah,
offered the seat, or when you offered the higher seat to the person to see if they wanted to swap
yeah,
from the lower to the higher one. I was like, yeah, you must be feeling that right now.
yeah. Because normally I
Yeah,
can ride it out.
unfortunately, I didn't do the due diligence when I booked it. I didn't realize there was a triathlon going on at the same time. So all around the
Mm,
beach and the road, so everything was shut. Took us ages to park. So yeah, we were like a few minutes later on because usually I like to get in the seat before we even go in the sauna. But I was like, oh no, I'm just going to get straight in the sauna this time. But
mm,
but yeah, the water was lush, wasn't it? It was, it was a little
hmm.
bit cold, but it was nice to get into. So yeah,
Oh yeah, it was nice. Yeah.
the other thing I was thinking about earlier on is taking the kayak the kayak holders off the top of my truck. But I was like, well, if we carry on getting days like this, I might leave them on for a little bit longer and take the kayaks out
Hmm.
again because, like, on a nice
Hmm.
crisp morning, like it'd be quite nice to get out on it. So yeah, I'm going to keep them on for a little while and hopefully get the kayaks in the water again at some point. Um,
Hmm.
Anyway, Josh, let's have a little chat about what we've been doing in terms of being active and all that sort of stuff. So, one thing that we have done is been climbing a couple of times at the local climbing wall
Hmm.
as well, which has been fun. And it's the perfect setup for winter because as it gets horrible outside, probably going to be doing less of the kayaking, the sea swimming, at least not in there for as long, and the big hikes because it's going to be grim. But yeah,
Mm.
this where this episode is about resilience, but still, yeah, we're going to be going to the climbing wall. So, what are your thoughts about the climbing wall?
Yeah, it's great. I really enjoy it, and I what's great is that with climbing, I'm currently not in the right shape for climbing. So it's like if you were going for a cycle, but like put it on the hardest gear and still cycled all the normal way you would. That's what it feels like at the moment with climbing. But I'm still really, really enjoying it, which is great. So that means that when I'm a bit more cut and I've lost a bit more weight, it's going to be really, really fun. So that's good. I just like the challenge of it with climbing. It's nice, and they've leveled it just enough in this place where it feels hard, but there's still ones that I can just do, and then ones that challenge me enough, and it's not all like really, really hard, so I can't do anything. You know. So
Mm.
I like it. It's a cool little place.
Where does what do you find you enjoy the most? Is it the because some people enjoy the just being able to get in there and climb thing. Other people just
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy solving the problem. So, for anyone who doesn't know climbing,
Mm.
if you look at a route is called a problem, and they're all varying difficulties. What is it you enjoy most about it? Because there's going to be aspects of both, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think at the moment the problem with the problem solving aspect of it is I don't think I've got the skill or the ability yet
Mm.
to like truly problem solve because I can't do maybe certain moves like get a leg up here or grip it like this and move to here. So I haven't got it's like if you're trying to solve a crossword but you don't have a pen. You know what I mean? Like you just don't have all the tools necessary to do the best that you can.
It's
Or you
like if you
just
try.
don't know certain words.
It's like if you try and do a crossword, but you've got like the literacy of a 4-year-old. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah. It is really
Yeah.
hard.
So
Um,
I
that's
can
actually
I
such a
can
good point. Mm.
yeah, I just don't have the skill. I don't have the skills necessary yet to really problem solve. But I'm still enjoying it. There's bits like what I do enjoy as well is because I'm training with you, and you're definitely a couple of like levels above me at the moment. I like trying to solve your stuff out while you're doing it.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. That's it. And that's handy. You see a lot of people
Hmm.
doing that, and then like people advising each other, "Oh, reach here, reach there, and do this and do that."
Hmm.
But what you just said, it harkens back to. I actually think we spoke about this on the first attempt of recording this episode, but we spoke about it last episode as well. And that is sometimes you shouldn't like if you don't understand what your goal should be, it really helps to develop a base level of something in what you
Hmm.
just said illustrated that perfectly. You're getting in there, you're enjoying doing something, but you still don't know exactly how you're going to apply yourself to that, how your body is going to apply to these problems. And I think so much to be said for developing a base level of skill first before going too deep on worrying about where you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
in the future. It's because the Mike Tyson is it. I always attribute this to Mike Tyson. I don't know if it was actually him. Said everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, and everyone's got a plan of climbing a wall until they fall off. And it's like, oh, that didn't work. I've got to try it this way. So yeah, developing
Mm-hmm.
that base level is definitely a good thing. So
How are
what
you
about?
finding it?
Yeah, I'm loving it. For me, well, you've seen me just like laying there pondering, looking at these freaking wall things sometimes. So there is a particular set of colors in there. For me, it's the purple roots. So not all climbing walls do this. Some climbing walls would just have the color of the hold will be the color of the root. And then this one's like the color of the arrows. So you could have purple arrows, but the holds are actually yellow. I'm getting stopped. I'm getting stuck on a couple of purple roots at the moment, so they are my nemesis
Mm.
at the moment. I haven't really come across a yellow one, which is one down that I can't do yet. I don't think I might have to revisit that tomorrow because we're going again. But yeah, purple's a bit my nemesis, and there's I think there's two I've done. The rest I haven't been able to do. It's just a little bit too hard. My problem is at the moment as well is, and you'll have some insight into this because of your project Iron Claw. My forearm endurance, my grip endurance, and
Mm.
there were tendon strength is obviously going to come into that as well. But yeah, that grip endurance is really limiting me in that because a couple of goes on an
Mm.
overhang, and yeah, I'm fried after that.
Yeah, and that, so when it comes to training with that, so from what this is actually I learned from the arm wrestling guys when I went there. And a lot of people think that arm wrestling, you want to be doing really heavy training, like just a lot of strength stuff, because it's quite a quick sport. But actually, what it's about tendon strength, and what they do for their tendon strength is like super high reps in specific positions, like curls or like specific wrist position movements, and it's like really high reps, like 20 to 30 to 50 reps with like a band. And that'll probably be the same with the climbing for the endurance of your forearms, not only hangs, and obviously that's going to help, but doing some exercises where you're just pumping and getting like good, really high reps in and just burning them out is probably going to be
Mm.
the best for that.
Something else you noticed about me on the other day, we went to film a little bit of stuff after the sea swim and the
Mm.
sauna. Excuse me. Is that I struggle with the false grip as well. So that I'm sure that's
Yeah.
going to help build up all that forearm strength as well when I can get to that false grip position. So
Yeah, being able to curl your like
mm,
wrist as much as possible, try and get like a full right angle is probably going to help, because you're a little bit stuck on getting all the way over. But
mm,
you make up for that with like good, just kind of like crushing strength with your grip,
mm,
and then just really you have a really strong back, so that really helps you just like fucking go through stuff quite easily, I think.
I was yeah, I mean, this good transition to talk about what the normal training is, what our
Mm-hmm.
training is at the moment. I'm going to let you lead with this actually, because as you know, I've got some stuff
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
share today. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
what's your training looking like at the moment?
So training at the moment is a big mix. At the moment, I'm doing base strength and power with 4 specific exercises, which we spoke about in the last episode. So overhead press, deadlifts, chin ups, and dips. They're my main like strength exercises. And then a bit of bodybuilding on the side of that. And now I've added in a bit more cardio now. Just unfortunately, it's necessary for something I'm sure we'll discuss in a later episode. But
Mm,
started adding back in some running. Which is great. So the running's going really, really well. I'm having to take it really slow. It's very humbling. I'm going to post a video on it today, actually, about how it's always when you don't do something for a while, like running, and then you come back to doing it, you just assume that you're going to be at least close to how good you were before. And then you do that first one and it humbles you instantly. And it's so
mm,
easy to get annoyed about that. But what I've been really trying to do is trust the process, right? Trusting the plan, not going all out straight away, trusting the process, trusting the plan, rather than thinking about, oh, I used to be able to run half a marathon with no problem, you know? So I'm gonna, that's been the hardest thing, is
yeah.
checking my ego, especially with injuries and stuff. But other than that, that's my training at the moment. A lot of strength and big mix of cardio in there as well.
How is your Project Iron Claw going?
Yeah, good. I mean, and if
They're,
you're on video,
they're
you can
looking
see
like
my
big
forearms.
hams, man. Look at the size of them forearms.
Yeah,
That's good. Mm.
so it's good. Just that's to be honest, that's the easiest thing. I love training forearms, so it's really really easy. It's nice, and you. I went to a gym a couple of times, a little commercial gym locally, a Farmer Sports Hub, and I was doing a lot of forearm exercises. And the forearm exercises, I'm not gonna lie, look weird and stupid. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like secretly filmed me doing them and then like posted them on TikTok. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Because it's so niche, especially for arm wrestling. But I really, really enjoy it, so I'm not bothered by it.
Yeah, nice. That's the way forward to go, isn't it? That's good. Um, what you can't see if you're watching this is that Josh has like super skinny legs. He's got like legs of
Fuck.
Rowan Atkinson. It's just he's all forearms and bicep. Yeah, there's just like no legs there.
Look, you have no idea how paranoid I am about this, right? Because my legs were quite chunky, and then I haven't been able to do much quad work because my knees have been bad. And I'm so paranoid I've lost a load of mass off my legs, and I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean?
Right. You're blessed. So yeah, I am just joking. Josh is blessed with genetically good calves as well, which pisses me off because my calves just look shit. Yeah. So yeah, Josh, he doesn't. He looks like a dwarf in terms of in terms of what's the word I'm looking for? In terms of relative
Find
body
it quick.
size. Yeah.
Find it quick. What kind of dwarf are you talking about?
Like a stocky Gimli right now. There you go.
All
Like
right, okay,
yeah,
cool. Fantasy dwarf.
fantasy
Yeah.
dwarf.
Okay.
Yeah, not yeah, not the other one. Okay, so you may have heard, if you've been listening to the previous episodes, you may have heard me alluding in the last couple of episodes to something I've been working on, and this thing is called the Eclipse Challenge. And this is what I want to talk about. So it's not actually what my current training is. My current training has evolved, and I've just come actually straight from one of my training sessions. Um, and it's safe to say I've taken some of the principles from the Eclipse Challenge over, which is good. So that's something to look forward to in the future when I share what's going on there. But the Eclipse Challenge it was definitely a passion project of mine. I think it was it was very much needed as to where I was in my particular stage of training. And what I want to preface the rest of this episode on, and again, I told you earlier on that this is about resilience. That is what the key word of this is. This isn't for everybody, this, and it's not designed to be for everybody. And it might be for you, but just not now as well. So the mentality I have going into training at the moment is very different from what Josh has got. And my approach is I'm being hard on myself for a reason, but I'm not always like this. In fact, the majority of the time I am not. I'm not expecting other people to be unless they feel it is the right time to be. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this stuff that I'm doing, and some of you may be like, "Why the hell are you doing that? Why do you want to do that to yourself? And what are you trying to prove?" And they're all valid questions. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But I'm at a point where I've just turned 40. And funnily enough, Josh, it kind of goes to what you were saying, but I'm taking it the opposite way about the running and the ego. It's like I used to be able to do that, but now I'm being humbled. And I was truly humbled by the Eclipse Challenge. I was never really a CrossFitter as it was, but I'd done CrossFit for a couple of years, and I was shredded, I was fit, I could do a bunch of stuff. So my Eclipse Challenge was almost it was a way of thinking, well, how can I still push myself hard physically, but I don't want it to just be a physical program. I want it to be a self development program. I want it to be a physical representation of what I want to put myself out in the world as. I want it to be a way that I can prove to myself I can show up, get something done, that I'm not just phoning it in because I know how to train. Even when someone's not there, I'm going to push myself hard because I just want to. I want to get that aggressive, guttural feeling back in my training regimen. Um, Basically, proof that I can still show up and do the hard thing.
Mate, yeah, I'm and
Mm.
so as we spoke about before, I have been watching you do this because I obviously know it's been happening. We work together, and I must admit it looks nails. And you have really this challenge you put yourself through. You never know if somebody's going to make it through a challenge like that, if you're actually going to complete it, but you did, and you absolutely nailed it. But I guess before we go deep into it, what is the Eclipse challenge?
So it's essentially a 28-day program, but there's a test at the beginning and the end, which make it a 30-day program, and it's three primary workouts. So the ideal schedule would be, in fact, it is just the schedule, and that is that's part of the personal development side of it. It is just blocking everything else out. The reason it's called Eclipse is blocking everything else out and focusing on it. So the schedule of it is strict. You're not supposed to move things to other days because it is about focus. So it's three primary workouts, which is a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday. Each workout is 300 reps. Workouts 1 and 2 are just three moves, so it is 100 reps of each. So workout 1 is pull-ups, squat jumps, and hand release push-ups. So all body weight, basically, just with a pull-up bar. Workout 2 is with kettlebells or dumbbells, and that is thrusters, it is bent over rows, and it is swings. And workout 3 is assistance work, and that is all done with a TRX and one single resistance band. So workouts 1 and 2 is 20 rounds of 5 reps. So going hard, going heavy, and you end up doing 100 reps of each. And the same with workout 2, sorry, as well. And then workout 3 is five. Nope. 5 rounds of 10 reps, something like that. I can't remember what it is. Whatever it is, it's 6 moves anyway. So yeah, it works out different. But yeah, it's gross. It's freaking hard going, and the goal with the first 2 workouts is to make it an EMOM, basically. So making it a 20-minute, every minute on the minute, and then just getting it done. And it is disgustingly it just gets you out of breath. It makes you want it to end, not just from the weight and the reps, but just through that many sets as well. And that's kind of what I wanted to work on. Outside of those 2 workouts, there were 2 cardio days as well, which was a 5K run and a 10K run for me personally. This can be scaled depending on what someone else is doing. And there were 2 rest days where one of the rest days I would tend to go out and do something like kayaking or climbing or go for a hike or something like that. And the other rest day is a proper rest day, but 7 days a week I was doing 10 minutes mobility as well. And then alongside that was nutrition, making sure that I was eating clean and drinking 3 liters of water a day. That is basically the Eclipse program, and it is it's probably the hardest thing that I've done since I've lived in Cornwall, I would say, but I need to do it.
Nice. So I guess I have a few questions here. One being, this is quite a nails plan. You're doing 3 workouts that are all very intense in terms of reps, and some of the exercises are quite tough. And then 2 runs, which are a 5K and a 10K, so 15 kilometers a week of running. Mm-hmm. How are you managing your recovery throughout this? What are you doing for that in terms of making sure that you just don't burn out? Because, there's a high percentage chance of that over the 4 weeks.
So that's one of the things I found the most interesting. Now, me and you, Josh, we've talked in the past about people not really knowing what their limits are and usually underestimating what they are. And most people do. They're not completely aware of what they've got of what they're capable of. However, this is one of the points I really want to caveat and touch back on what I said earlier on. This is not for everybody. Like, if you're working in a high stress job that is like 12 hours a day and you're not used to training, you're in untrained state, and you were to try to do this, yes, it's a full chance you could overtrain and become really tired. But I'm reasonably fit, I'm reasonably strong. What I wanted to achieve from this was a bit of an experiment and see what gave in first. Would it actually be my body? Would I actually just stop working? Or would my body adapt to it within the 4 weeks, and would it actually start to get easier? That was like kind of the experiment I was running with myself, is will I
Mm.
get better before I break? And but in week 3, I'm not going to lie, I thought the break was going to come first, but
Mm.
week four ended up getting easier. And just one of the things that I wanted to do with this is just make that commitment and stick to it. So I done it. So every day, if I was hurting or not, I would get up and I would do something, and I got it done. And otherwise, I probably wouldn't have pushed it so hard in the 4th week because of how I was feeling in the 3rd week. But then I never would have found out. It's like, oh shit, I've got through the other side of it. I am actually feeling better. My body can adapt to this. So, you know, I'm 40 years old. I'm not past my prime. I'm not going to go that far, but people younger than me are more resilient. So it just goes to show how far the body can still go.
And I guess also one part of this is if this challenge was like this for, I don't know, 12 weeks, it'd be a different case.
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
4 weeks, there's actually you can really push yourself over 4 weeks without causing too much damage. As long as you're like managing your food and whatnot, and that, which you did. And like we said before, I think it was a Strong by Science that brought out a study showing a lot of people, when the science-based lifting thing came out, a lot of people use it as an excuse to say that I don't need to work as hard in the gym. I should just be hitting RPE, whatever. And I don't need to be training that hard because I don't want to over fatigue because my recovery became a big thing. And I completely understand that for the people that are like nailing it every single. You get people in the gym that work to failure every single session and are just going at 150 miles per hour and then burn out. But actually, the majority of people are barely hitting like 60%. They're barely even getting near to failure. And now are going, oh, well, actually, science-based lifters tell me I don't need to train. I shouldn't be training that hard anyway. That's not the point. And then Stronger by Science brought on a study or an article on a study saying that actually most people, if anything, don't train hard enough. So a challenge like this, like you've done, shows you your upper limits.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you can then go, all right, I know that this is like 100%. This is my limit. So now I need to get close to that, but not to that all the time.
Yeah, and I think having it being 4 weeks is it's all of what you just said, but from that mental perspective as well, knowing you've only got 4 weeks to do it in, that makes it way easier to approach. I'll tell you what I am a fan of, although not for the Eclipse challenge. Something that I am a fan of when it's not so much a challenge, but I want to push myself in a phase. The standard phase for any PT is 4 weeks, right? But I quite enjoy a 3-week phase every now and then. So I think that's a nice way to mentally prepare yourself. But when it comes going back to the Eclipse challenge, again, this is for a certain demographic of people, because that Stronger by Science study that came out, that is relevant for 99.9% of the population as well. For everyday people who want to just maintain a body that works and is relatively fit, that's fine. That's brilliant. You go for it. But every now and then, people just want to know what it feels like to be pushed. And I'm just at that stage where I wanted to know what it felt like to be pushed. If I had have done it for 12 weeks, that would have broken me. Or would it? That's the thing. I'm not willing to do it for 12 weeks. Would I have just got adapted to it because I adapted in the last week? Would it have just got easier because it was 12 weeks? I don't actually know at this point. But then I would have just upped the difficulty. I would have upped the weight. So yeah, it was really interesting with that, and it's one of the things that I want to highlight is the fact that I have purposefully designed it as a personal development program. It's not a body transformation program, although you will change your body. It's not a performance program, although your performance will go way up. It is a program that is it sounds like birds. For anyone wondering what that sound was, it was Josh drinking out of a big bottle. I know I had one exactly the same, and it feels like it's birds.
I'm so sorry. I pressed mute on my mic, but obviously it didn't do
Okay,
it.
so this is interesting, guys. We're going to pause for a second because I was curious about this. Hold on 1 second. So sorry, listener. What you're going to notice now is that Josh is going to sound way more sexy because his mic is going to be turned on now, and it wasn't before.
Hello there.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. But yes, essentially, Eclipse Challenge. It is there. There will be a lot more information coming out very soon. If there's not already by the time this episode drops, we've got to do just a little bit more recording for it. But this is something I want to release to the public because I think it is a really good test of where you're at. And speaking of that, like everything I've said sounds difficult, and it is difficult, but it's also completely scalable to wherever someone is at. So the test on day one will just let you know exactly where you need to be able to perform all of these exercises. So just as a little idea into that, I was doing 100 pull-ups. By the end of that, I was using a little bit of assistance with my feet. So that is something you can do. That is how I regress it personally for myself. But if you can't do a pull up in the slightest, then all you need to do is a resistance band, throw it over a rack or even a tree branch, and use that to do like a lat pull down. That is good enough. And if you can't do that, then you can do a inverted row on a TRX. Like there is so many ways that this can be scaled. If you can't run 5K, then basically the idea is to travel as far as you can in 15 minutes and then make it back, see if you can get back that same distance in 15 minutes and see if that improves over time. Everything is perfectly scalable. This is not about what equipment you have. This is not about what gym you train at. This is about what fucking work can you get done in the time that I'm giving you to do it. And I'm programming it so it can be accessible for everybody as well.
Sounds like an ace plan for sure.
Yeah.
So how do you then somebody's come and done this amazing intense 4-week program, they got through it in the end, what are you doing now to keep that ball rolling, to keep momentum going forward?
So before I even finished it, I was already working on my next phase of the program because that's just the way I'm wired to do it. So now, did I mention this on the last episode? I can't remember if this was a private conversation or whether I mentioned it on the last episode or not. But me and Josh, we have enjoyed in the past a little bit of gaming, and we do like movies as well. And what you find with movies and computer games is that every now and then a definitive edition of this piece of media will be released. So currently I am working on, and this is a much bigger program. I'm working through a program called Definitive, and basically it is making myself the definitive version of the stuff that I want to do. I'm a big believer that the way we show up the way we show up in most things is a representation of who we are, and I want to start being able to do the things that I've always wanted to do because that's how I want to show up in life for myself more than anything else. And I've added stuff into my program that I've just never added before. So I've got a strength move, but I'm working on skill work as well, which is, so today I've been working on muscle ups, and I've been doing pistol squats today. I've been doing clean and presses today, and I've got L sits to shoulder stands, and I've got and I've got handstand work as well, which I rewrote into the program today. I'm working on all these different skill works. And so where the mentality of the Eclipse Challenge was just fucking do it, get it done by all means possible. This is more along the lines of, and the Eclipse Challenge was, am I going to break first or am I going to adapt? What I took away from that is that my body started to adapt. So what I'm doing in this phase, in these new 3 phases, is I'm seeing how many different modalities, and this will always get shit from other trainers, but how many different modalities can I include in a training block of 12 weeks to how far can I push each one of those things? Because I'm not overly fussed about becoming the strongest I've ever been right now. I'm not overly fussed about getting a perfectly clean muscle up, and I'm not overly fussed about looking as jacked as possible. But I guarantee I'm going to be further along in all of those things than I was last week by the time I get to the end of these 12 weeks.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds exciting. I've been watching you attempt some of your skill-based stuff, and it's good. It's good. It seems,
it's fun, man. I'm loving it. Yeah.
You're quite agile for an old man.
Yeah, I like to think so, you dick. Dear. Okay, guys. Unless you've got anything else to add to that, Josh, at all?
I guess it'd be good. You've talked a lot about the Eclipse plan and how good it is and the benefits. I mean, and I've seen the benefits you've gained from it, and you haven't really mentioned it because I know it's not about that. It's more about self-development and resilience and stuff. But there has been some byproduct results, I guess, of that.
Yeah.
So outside of just building your mental resilience, like what other results have you gained, like in terms of body shape or fitness or what?
Yeah, that's a good point. So first and foremost, by week 4, everything felt easier, way easier. So performance just jumped through the roof. Now, I don't know if any of you have done a thruster before, but a thruster, when I was using 2 20-kilo kettlebells for this, a thruster is having a kettlebell on each shoulder, dropping down to a full squat, and then basically jumping up into a push press from that position. They're fucking hard, man. That was by far the hardest exercise out of all of them. And my ability to do them by week 4 was just considerable. I smashed out every minute on the minute quite easily, and I didn't hit every minute on the minute for week 1. So, yeah, that increased. I lost about 5 kilos, I think, something like that. I've got it all written down somewhere. And definitely lost a shit ton of body fat as well, which was good. And yeah, I wouldn't say I got bigger in terms of muscle, but I would say I looked bigger because of the body fat that I lost, which is good. And that's a really common thing, by the way, guys. Don't worry about looking smaller if you lose weight. Most of the time, if you're a guy listening to this, most of the time, if you if you're a guy and you want to look jacked, most of the time losing fat will actually make you look bigger, even if you're not gaining muscle. I think the thing I'm most impressed with, I'd never run a 10K in my life, and I went from it was actually an hour and 20 something minutes was my first one when you include the stop break that I had, which I didn't realize my watch tracked, and I got that down to 57 minutes 58 seconds or something like that. So I knocked off nearly half an hour off my 10K, and that was a trail run as well. If that was on the flat, then yeah, apparently I could guess that I could knock another 20% off of that, according to what I've read about the difference between trail running and flat running. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what I can run on the flat, but I haven't been running again. So this is the only thing that I did notice that was the negative, is that because it was the last time I was doing a run, I pushed it hard and my knee felt inflamed massively the next day. But again, I'd gone from running nothing to running 15K every week in a 5K and a 10K. But what I will say, again, for those of you listening to this thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, I can't run that far. The way I've planned this out, it can be done on a rowing machine, on an assault bike. Fuck doing it on an assault bike, though. That would kill you. It can be done on a treadmill. It can be done just going out for a run. It can be done on anything. Again, I do not want people to say, oh, I can't do this. I haven't got the equipment. I want people to say, right, I'm going to see what I've got, and I'm just going to get it done.
Mate, that's great. I mean, it's some good results just outside of being more resilient, knocking times off your runs and losing weight. I mean, what's great is that it wasn't about that. And I think that's what a lot of people don't. A lot of people go into training because they're wanting to lose weight or something like that. But when when you fall in love with the process and the challenging aspect of it, that stuff just happens.
Yeah.
So and you usually get better results. So if you focus on just trying to do something hard and be better at it, then eventually you will just get into good shape.
I love the idea of getting results by proxy, or like a byproduct of doing something because it's there. It's like, right, okay, I want to get this done, and the byproduct of it is you get a good result that wasn't the focus, but you know, I'm happy with that. I lost a shitload of weight, or you know, in some cases gained muscle, performance went up. Yeah, and that wasn't the point. The point was to do the hard thing, but that hard thing yields results, and I think that's what, you know, good benefits mentally and obviously physically as well.
Awesome, that's wicked.
Okay, guys, so we are going to move on to the next section right now. And this is the section where we talk about. My computer's just stopped working. There we go. So we take a deep dive into a concept, and because today's word is resilience, I want to talk about making a decision. And there's a really corny saying where your energy goes. Your energy goes where your focus goes, and that is a cliche because, you know, cliches become cliches for a reason. They stick around because someone says it and it resonates. I've got no problem with using cliches because they've stand the test of time. And the word decision, there's a guy called Tony Robbins. If you're as old as me, or probably older, you might have heard of Tony Robbins. I can't remember. I've introduced you to Tony Robbins, but I don't think you got on very well with it because it was. I don't know if you listened to that book or not. A bit too much, a bit too cheesy.
He's very American, isn't he?
Very American, yeah. His concepts are great, but he's just a little bit much sometimes. But
it's almost religious. Like,
yeah, it is. It's almost cult-like, to be fair. But yeah, it's when you can get. He does a lot of very practical programs, and they helped me out a lot when I was younger. They helped me focus on a few certain key aspects. Which is kind of ironic because one of sorry, I just got to go back a section. This is one of the things I didn't say about the Eclipse challenge. One of the first and foremost thing where it becomes a self-development program is because I was very frustrated with the whole self-development landscape at the moment, because it's all about writing, watching, journaling, thinking, and just waiting for something to happen. And there wasn't enough fucking just go act, and then work it out later. That is what the Eclipse challenge was mainly for. It was it was my anti-hero to everything else. It was, okay, how can we flip this on its head? Do the action first and then learn from that action. That's what the Eclipse version of personal development and self-development is. But when it comes to that, it's all about like making a decision to move forward. We've actually got to do something. And Tony Robbins, I don't know how true this is. I don't know if this is actually accurate, but he said in one of his programs that decision. So you've got incision, which means cut into something, which is what incision means. Apparently, decision means to cut away from. So the word decision means separate yourself, basically burn your bridges. That's what decision means. So it's about, if you're going to commit to something, then just do it. If you're going to commit to a program, then just fucking commit. Don't get worked up whether it is the perfect thing or whether it's right for you. Just absolutely dial in, commit to that thing. And we've always said commit to something for a minimum of 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think it's probably one of the hardest things for personal trainers as well. Is personal trainers want to do everything because they see it and it looks exciting, and you know, but we see so many people that will start doing something and then like a week later they go, oh well, actually I saw this video on this and they say you should do this, so I've gone and done that. And then they just spend periods of like 1 to 2 weeks doing one thing and then constantly changing and getting no results. Or sometimes focusing on too much and not cutting away all the rubbish and then end up being overwhelmed. So I think it's important that you just give something a go and stay to that for a period of time. Like we said, a minimum of 3 weeks. That's good because it helps you build that habit and that consistency. But I think then you want to really then extend that for a bit longer to really see what potential you get out of it. And I've had that with, like, we've talked about Sam before, one of my online clients, and he spent maybe 2 years specifically strength training, then like a year of bodybuilding / power building, and then eventually went into a cut and did that for a good 10 to 12 weeks. So, and that 2 to 3 years of strength training / power building made such a massive difference to his cut because he was consistent for so long. He built that foundation baseline of muscle, and now he's gone into off of the cut into training for our high rocks, and he did his first 10 kilometers ever, like a first 10-kilometer run ever, and hit it in like nearly 45 minutes. It's like 47 minutes, and that was
all right, stop rubbing it in.
That's because he stuck to something consistently for a while and didn't do anything else. And he listened to his coach, number one, who said, don't worry about all this other stuff that's going on. I know it all seems enticing right now and it's a pretty little butterfly, but just stay away from it for a minute. We'll get there eventually. And that makes a massive difference, I think.
Yeah, it does. And, that's where accountability comes into play as well. So what I want to do before we move on to the next section is going very heavily into this subject even more. But before we go into that, I want to bring up an article that is that is kind of, well, it's very much related to this in terms of making a decision to do something and then sticking with it. And this was sent to me by one of my clients, Luca, and she knew I'd be very interested in it. Now, the title of this is how the 1904 marathon became one of the weirdest Olympic events of all time. And the byline here is athletes drank poison, dodged traffic, stole peaches, and even hitchhiked during the 24.85 mile race in St. Louis, which is in the States. And it was a state as well. So there's black and white pictures on this, and I will share the article on the show notes of this as well, which is definitely worth reading through and having a look. But it was America's first Olympics, and it was also tied in with the World's Fair, which meant there were people from all over the world there. But the craziness of it, a few of the runners, it says here, were recognized athletes who had either won or placed in the Boston Marathon or in previous Olympic marathons. But not all of them. The majority of the field was composed of middle distance runners and assorted oddball characters. There was an American who trained at night because he worked as a bricklayer by day. He earned his spot by placing in a special 5-mile race. 5 miles compared to 24, that's freaking crazy. Other noteworthy contenders included 2 men from, I think that's a silent T, Swana, tribe of South Africa, and they were the first Black Africans to ever participate in the Modern Olympics. They were in St. Louis as part of the South African World's Fair, and they were also fabled to have arrived at the starting line barefoot, though as the photo shows, one of them was actually wearing shoes. I definitely wouldn't call them running shoes, though, and again, that's the pictures on the article with that one. Another guy was a Cuban mailman who raised money to go to the United States by demonstrating his running prowess throughout Cuba. So, probably a good one. Do you know what? I didn't look who actually won this either. Upon his arrival in New Orleans, he reportedly lost all his money in a dice game and had to walk and hitchhike to St. Louis. So now the main event. So the heat and humidity was in the low 90s. I don't know how much that is. Let's see if I can in real time use Alexa on this. Alexa. Oh no, Echo. Echo, you can listen to me? It's not. I don't know how much it is, but whatever the low 90s is, anyway. I was going to try and be smart then. It was the most difficult a human being was ever asked to run over because they were just running in dust and the heat.
Nice.
So the course had 7 hills, varying from 100 to 300 feet, some with brutally long ascents, and they were just running over cracked stone. So basically, this is like just running in disgusting things. Cars carrying coaches and physicians motored alongside the runners, kicking the dust up and launching coughing spells as well. So they were doing more harm than good. William Garcia of California nearly became the first fatality of the Olympic marathon when he collapsed on the side of the road some 8 miles from the finish. The dust had coated his esophagus and ripped his stomach lining, causing serious hemorrhaging. He had to go unaided an hour longer. Sorry, had he gone unaided an hour longer, he might have bled to death. One of the Americas suffered a bout of vomiting and gave up. One of the South Africans was chased a mile off course by a wild dog. Someone else trotted along in his compassing shoes and billowing shirt, actually like a proper shirt here. He made good time, even though he stopped to have a chat, apparently. And where was the other one? Someone else stole peaches from someone else in a car when they were refused to actually give him a peach. He stole them. And that same guy also stole some apples from an orchard. They turned out to be rotten, and so he suffered cramps. He laid down and took a nap. Someone else because that guy took a nap, someone else got into the lead. He also experienced severe cramping. He slowed to a walk and eventually stopped. And someone else also who got cramps, decided to hitchhike in one of the accompanying automobiles, waving at spectators and fellow runners as he passed. So at the time, the rules of the Olympic marathon allowed runners to be coached and assisted by race officials. Hicks, one of the early American favorites, received an inordinate amount of coaching and some extraordinary assistance during the marathon, which I'm guessing is that stuff. Hicks came under the care of a 2-man support crew whom he begged for a drink. They refused, instead sponging out his mouth with warm distilled water. 7 miles from the finish, his handlers fed him a concoction of strychnine, I'm not sure how you say it, and egg whites. The first recorded incidents of drug use in modern Olympics, which had no rules about performance-enhancing drugs at the time. Strychnine in small doses was commonly used as a stimulant at the time. Today, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention describes it as a strong poison that is used primarily as a pesticide, particularly to kill rats. And that same guy's team also carried a flask of French brandy, but decided to withhold it until they could gauge the runner's condition. So this guy, the guy who had the brandy, and the strychnine, he was in the lead, but then he fell out of the lead, and then, or was he? I can't remember any, but basically, the whole point of this article, guys, I recommend you read it because it is fucking batshit. But read it, and this is probably too far in a direction of making a decision to do something and by any means possible sticking to it. So don't do what this article says, but it just goes to show that I don't think anyone died. It's a near fatality. No one died from this. So when you have a goal, stick to it unless you're going to die, and maybe have a little bit of awareness about the things you're asking your body to do.
I mean, the guys drank poison and carried on, so it's pretty mental.
I mean, I guess it's no different from modern day people using certain performance enhancing things. Just got a little bit more awareness around it nowadays.
Yeah, that's a crazy story though. That's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a read, guys. Again, I'm going to include that into the show notes so you can read that article. Right. Josh, the time for real talk has come, and this is staying on the same kind of subject. So, if you've got it, have you got any more coffee left, or have you drunk it all?
I've drunk it all, but I have my ELT ceramics
perfect good
cup here.
So, I am pouring my cup 2 of the podcast right now. Oh, look at that perfect amount. And I've also got my EOT ceramics, Josh, as is your client, if you would like to do the shout out.
Emily Tapp of ELT Ceramics, thank you very much for our wonderful dimple cups. We are in no way sponsored, but go buy our cups.
By the way, Emily, I was talking about dimple cups in one of the classes I coached. If you are listening to this right now, I will try to usher them all your way, and you could have an order coming in soon for a few more of the cups. So, this is the section of the podcast where we talk about things that maybe other trainers don't like talking about. And this is like conversational because I just want to, we have covered this already in today's episode, but it's where we just become a little bit brutally honest sometimes. And we tell you how it is, not how you should, like how you want to hear it. And the first thing I'm going to say is, so what this section is about is working hard has fallen out of favor. And I think this goes back to what we were saying about the about not knowing how hard to push yourself, about the Eclipse challenge in that, in that state. So, Josh, before that article came out, before that study, about Strong by Science came out, it probably came out in response to because people were pushing themselves so hard, right? It was the emergence of CrossFit as well, and that was like proper going for it. And then back in the late 90s as well, all the way through to the early 2000s, bodybuilding was massive. You had, what's the guy's name? Why have I forgotten his name? What is the massive black guy with a big beard?
Kai Green?
No. Oh man, he like proper
Carly Muscle.
No. He was like a proper old school bodybuilder, Jim. He had heart attack and a triple heart bypass because he used to just eat burgers all the time. He's a motivational guy now.
CT Fletcher.
Yes, that's the one. He was popular, very popular among the bodybuilding crowd. CrossFit was coming in, so that was the performance crowd. All of this high end stuff was really, really popular, and a lot of normal everyday people went out and tried these things, fucked themselves up, hurt themselves, got themselves in pain. And that's when we started to see like the transition between like the science-backed stuff. And again, prefacing this, caveating this, I am not saying this is a bad way of training. I'm just saying this is what the circumstances led to. The science was showing that you don't have to push yourself that hard. And I completely agree, you don't have to. But working hard definitely has its benefits. And I'm not just talking about physically here, I'm talking about mentally as well. And, there is a bell curve to this because sometimes people get so obsessed with the performance and the results and the outcome that they actually lose sight of the other health benefits that come from it. But Josh, I want to get your kind of thought process around that bell curve, I guess, actually, of working hard and where that's fallen out of favor, where you think it's good and where you think it's bad.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think, like you said, like that kind of 90s, noughties, and then when early days of YouTube, there was a lot of people that were like Rich Piana. Do you remember Rich Piana? Yeah, the big bodybuilder, unfortunately passed away. He was doing like 10-hour arm workouts and like that Ronnie Coleman era as well, of just like insane level of bodybuilding and training. That was big for a while, where people were going really hard at it and just smashing themselves in the gym, old school kind of lifting. And then that kind of stopped, like you said, and there was this big push for science-based lifting. But I think people misinterpreted the science-based lifting as I don't have to train that hard, when actually it doesn't say that. It says you need to be training close to failure, just not to failure all the time. And that's where people stopped training as hard. CrossFit was great for pushing people. I think the problem CrossFit had is, unfortunately, it's very high level of skill needed to do a lot of the stuff in CrossFit. And a lot of people weren't going in and didn't have the necessary skill, but pushing themselves too hard and then injuring themselves. But if you have the skill in CrossFit, then yeah, go for it. Nail yourself. I think that it's starting to flip on its head a bit now, and people are now starting to push it again. I think Hyrox has helped because it's like even if it is a bit cheesy, it's you don't need a much a high level base of skill to do Hyrox. It's just how hard can you push it, which is good. What do I think about it? I think it's important to know where what your limit is. and I've gone there a few times with certain challenges, etc., and I know how far I can go with it. I think really you should probably do something in that sort of capacity at least once a year, because you forget and your body forgets, and you then start to like lower the bar. You quite quickly start to lower the bar. And then all of a sudden you think you're working hard and you're not. And that's happened to me. So I think, I reckon once a year you should really give it some, just whether it's some whatever kind of challenge it is, just push your limits for a little bit. Should you be doing it every month? No, I don't think so at all. But you shouldn't just be coasting, you know? The one time I say to people, actually, you don't need to go mental is when you're coming off of injury. And in that case, it's like, let's play it smart. We'll build up to it slowly and then we'll get there, you know?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think a lot of the time now that people misinterpret the word intensity. Intensity should be brought to whatever workout you're doing, no matter what, to a certain degree. It doesn't always have to be maximum intensity. But a lot of people were thinking, oh, I've been going too hard on myself. But again, like what the study showed wasn't the fact that the intensity you were giving in a workout. 2 seconds. I'm going to have to pause here because I think my dog has escaped and is scratching my office door right now. Bear with me. And we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, my dog had escaped. He had jumped the fence and he was clawing at my door. But yeah, intensity. I think people misinterpreted that as in, oh, okay, I don't have to. People interpret it as I don't have to work out that hard during my workouts, whereas actually it was probably just don't have to work out as much or as often and breaking yourself every time, but still bringing the intensity. It's the macro versus the micro, right? It's bringing the intensity to the micro, to the actual reps within the set themselves. It doesn't mean the whole workout has to absolutely break you every single time. And that could be something as going close to failure on a bicep curl or something like that, but it doesn't mean you have to do like a clean and press until you're ready to collapse on the floor. So that is where the misunderstanding I think came from. So just bringing that intensity back, I think, is massively important. I like the way you said you should test it at least once a year, because I say the same thing with tracking calories. To be honest, at least once a year you should track calories to remind yourself of exactly what is in what, and it's the same philosophy.
Yeah. There's a video actually came up the other day about tracking calories. I was watching and it was brilliant. It was a woman. She started tracking calories because she never done it before. She just wanted to do it as an experiment, and then she went, "Oh, I'm the problem." She's like, she just went, "Yeah, I'm just doing fat people stuff. I'm just eating all the time." She's like, "I didn't realize that a bagel was like 400 calories. I thought it was 2." It's that's the thing is people. I have this talk with people about, not to get too in the weeds about nutrition, but I have this talk with people about calories all the time and tracking them. And I go, it's not about being overly strict or measuring everything. It's just about bringing awareness to what foods are. Because a lot of people don't realize. People think like a tablespoon of peanut butter isn't that bad, but it's actually quite a lot of calories. But it's so easy to eat, right? So yeah, I think it's definitely a good thing to do once a year. And the same with the testing. Eddie Cohen, who is one of the world's most famous powerlifters, he was known as the greatest powerlifter of all time. He used to say that, and this is a caveat with testing. He used to say that you only have so many 1 rep max tests throughout your life, and this is why it's important that you don't overdo it on the testing, especially with like strength stuff. So you don't want to be testing 1 rep max every week. It's just no fucking point. But you still need to know what your 1 rep max is if you want to work at a percentage of that weight. So you still got to figure it out at some point.
Yeah. So that's interesting you say that, because at the moment I'm doing 3x3s for my strength, for the strength portion, but it's not my maximal 3x3. Not every week. There's no point in doing that every single
No.
week, because you just it's there's no point. So and this comes with self-awareness, right? It goes back to what we were saying earlier on, and it's something that I've been speaking about recently, and that is knowing some sort of base level of something before you start setting the bigger goals is really, really handy. So definitely worth taking the time to learn that. So what kicked off this particular subject as well is actually, you said it earlier on, Josh, which kind of made me laugh, is trust in the process. Because you said that about running, and trust in the process is great, but people take advantage of it, and I know that because I was one of those people. I knew for a fact that with my programming, I would get results, but I wasn't bringing the intensity that I knew I was capable of to some of my programming. Again, that was one of the reasons I ran myself through the Eclipse program, because it was time to re-educate myself on where my intensity level should actually be. And now I've got a much greater idea of that. So a lot of people will say, oh, okay, I'm going to take the route of the tortoise, not the hare, and I am going to just get there eventually if I carry on doing the right things. And yeah, that's kind of true, but if you're not taking any intensity, then it's not going to be. And some people think it's intense just because they show up and it's a hard. And don't get me wrong, yeah, you deserve a participation medal for that, but that ain't going to give you the gold medal. So you need to, if you want to get any results, you do need to bring some intensity to it. Now, interestingly, though, a lot of studies have shown recently that once you have the result you're after, it takes only between 30 and 70% of that original effort to maintain those results. So that's a perfect time to explore other things, which is what I'm doing now with my programming. I've got a lot of the results that I've wanted, and now I'm now I'm exploring with other areas to see what my body can do in other places as well.
Yeah, and this is why sometimes it's really important to have like a coach, because when you do it yourself and just do your plan yourself, you don't always put the intensity there. And I say this to my PTs quite a lot, and I go, I'll ask them what it is they want to work on, right? For instance, maybe they want to do a strength portion, maybe they want to pick particular exercises. But I always say to them, I'm not always going to plan you just what you want. I'm going to give you what you need, right?
Yeah.
And I've got these two ladies that I train at the moment. They did a big strength block. They've been doing a big bodybuilding block at the moment, and I've told them, unfortunately, the next phase is going to be a big conditioning block, and they were like, I don't like conditioning. I'm like, I'm sorry, but it needs to happen. Yeah. It's going to happen, and I'll make it fun, and I'll put in other stuff that you like. But there's always going to be a period of time where we need to push some areas that we don't like. And that's why having a coach to do that for you is good, because they will plan what you need, not just what you want. And they'll know when you're slacking off as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny you say that, because I've got one of my clients who I had this morning, actually, she's just been on holiday, and she knew full well she's kind of in the same age range as was one of the clients that you're talking about now, and she knew full well coming back off holiday it'd be a conditioning phase, and she's like, you could tell she doesn't like it as much, but she also knows she's got to do it. So yeah, it's fine. And the results that come from that are worth it. So like you say, definitely worth having a coach. And the thing is, when you do have a coach as well, you can trust the process of the coach, because it's so easy when you're programming for yourself to just program the things you like to do. I mean, I'd be one rep maxing all the freaking time if I was unaware of what negative effects I'd have on my body. I'd just be like, yeah, I don't do that. Doing that, no cardio. But again, that's one of the reasons, and this is what you alluded it to. Well, actually, it's what you connected it to earlier on. I am now trusting the process of running. I'm pushing the intensity of it, definitely, but I know it's going to get me there. I'm not taking advantage of the fact that I'm just going to poodle along all the time. It's a little bit different from you. I hope you don't go too fully into it because of the knee injury, to be honest. But yeah, it's at the moment I know when I'm going easy on myself and when I can push a bit harder. And that I find it harder with running, man. Like when I get to that 10th K on the 10K, I'm just like, oh, I could just slow down right now. But I'm like, come on, just push for it, and let's get it done.
Yeah, I've actually been more frustrated with the running right now because I want to run faster. And I'm like, why is my body just not moving faster? It's just not, I just don't have the it's like I can't extend my legs like that. And I'm like, this is so frustrating. And I'm like I'm running like an old man, like run faster. And I keep pushing it a little bit more. And I got to me today, to be fair, I was quicker. I felt quicker, but yeah, God, it gets on my tits.
Yeah, it's hard. It is hard, and it's it's the things we don't like doing that we usually become bad at as well. So, yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to the shout out phase, and I want to shout out one of my clients who, yeah, this is going back to the resilience route as well, and my client Nicola. She is a very busy lady, and she basically works as a CEO for a company. She was a consultant CEO. Companies would bring her in to basically get shit sorted out, and she's just gone into this role, salaried now as well. But she's busy and she deals with clients from all over the world, so she could be on a call at like 1 o'clock in the morning. Plus, she has 2 kids, one of them being a toddler, and she's doing numerous other things as well. But she still shows up for her session, and she still wants to be pushed, and it's a testament to her resilience, but also like with that resilience it comes a knowledge of the fact that it is good for her as well, where it'd be so much easier for her to she says that is her hour. Okay, there's so many 99% of people I know, if they had an hour to themselves, they wouldn't spend it exercising. I find that people with high level important jobs, quite a lot of the time, that 90% of people, that actually gets a much smaller number. It might be just like 40 or 50% of that number, because as you get that important, you realize what your health means to you. As your life becomes that like hectic and you have to deal with all this stuff, health does become a big part. What was that noise?
It's a motorbike driving past, I think.
Oh, was it?
Sorry.
I thought it was like, no, that's all right. I thought someone was playing didgeridoo behind you. I thought that was it, to be honest. Does he realise he hasn't muted? But yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out. I wanted to give a shout out to Nicola because she pushes it. She does really well. And yeah, she is an absolute boss in literally and metaphorically as well.
Yeah, she's just badass. I've been there a few times when she's been training. She's just badass.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, I don't want to do it, but then she'll do it, and it's like that's good. Like you're pushing yourself. So as well as the client shout out, I also wanted to give a shout out to Boulder Inn, which is the climbing wall that we were talking about earlier on, because they have opened up a whole avenue of adventure training for us that we had to travel for like an hour each way for before, and now it's like 5 minutes away, and we're going to be going there again tomorrow. So big shout out to Boulder Inn and all the staff that are there. They're all super friendly, the routes are super fun, and yeah, they do good coffee as well. So
yeah,
great place.
They're also they're just so nice there. They're super cool, and the guy like remembers my name, which is nice. Yeah, I'm quite unassuming, you know what I mean? And he's
and I cannot remember his name for the life of me. So
I don't know any of their names. I don't know what any of them are called.
I felt bad. He was like, "Oh, all right, Jack," and I'm like, "Fuck." I can't remember your name. I'm gonna have to ask him next time. But yeah, so yeah, big shout out to Boulder Inn. Okay,
happy days. Yeah, it's a cool place.
Josh, have you got your Indiana Jones hat and your satchel ready? Because we're about to go into
kind of. Let's have a look.
Oh shit! I wasn't actually expecting you to have something.
I mean, this is my wife's hat, but it kind of works.
Guys, if you're not watching this, then I will let you decide in the comments if you if it works. Okay. Anyway, Josh, I am going to share my screen with you, and I would like you to tell, if you're not watching this, I would like you to tell the listener what you are seeing.
Oh. So, for the people who are not watching on YouTube and are currently on Spotify, we have a plane that looks like it's crash landed in the jungle. Doesn't look usable. And it's very thick jungle with a double C. High canopy by the looks of it. Loads of plants, and then a random guy in a backpack. So, yeah, that's what I'm seeing. A plane that's crash landed in the jungle, random guy in backpack.
Okay, cool. So, what I would hold on, I just need to find the the actual notes I've made about this now. I can't find them. Let's have a look here. All right, here we go. Nope, that's not it. Basically, this is the Amazon jungle. Okay, you are the sole survivor of a plane crash. Now, as you said, the plane is kind of largely intact, but it obviously doesn't work. It is a bit messed up. This section of the podcast is where we cluelessly try to work out how we're going to survive. So, Josh, what are you going to do in this situation, stuck in the middle of the Amazon rainforest by yourself? You've got a backpack. It's got some. You've got half a pack of nuts. You've got a lighter, and you've got some cord. Plus, you have the plane, which doesn't work. You've got all of that stuff. What are you going to do to survive?
Has the lights got fuel in it?
The lighter does have fuel in it, yeah.
Cool. Well, first things first is shelter. Make sure we've got shelter and fire. To be honest, I've already got the plane, so you could just sleep in the plane. But maybe make some shelter in the area around it. You could set something up over the wings, so you could sleep under the wings if need be, and then set up fire. There's plenty of wood around, hopefully.
I will say, actually, before you go too much further into this, I will say that it is March, which is the wet season as well, by the way. So it's going to be very, very wet. Yeah. So first of all, like everything is going to be wet. Yeah. So the questions I've got to you: what is your first priority? How are you going to avoid things like insects and predators? And are you going to stay in that location, or are you going to venture out? So those are the three main questions.
So if it's all wet, am I already wet or am I dry inside the plane?
If you're still inside the plane, you're dry because it has still got its roof intact.
Okay, cool. So say I started off in the plane. I need to figure out a way of... I need to find whatever I can in the plane in terms of supplies to help keep me dry outside of the plane. But also maybe stuff that there's probably going to be something flammable in the plane that I can burn that's dry. So I'll probably take something from there rather than take something from the canopy initially. But then try to find some form of like dead wood that I can stick around that fire that I create that will dry out as it's next to the fire. Predators. I don't know what predators there are in an Amazon rainforest. I'm assuming there's some form of like cat of some kind, as well as crocodiles, maybe the odd monkey that will try and fuck me up, and bats. So I would, what would I do to defend myself off from them? I would cut down little branches and stick them in the ground with spikes on them so they can't come near me, and make a little what's it called? What's that called? Not a colonnade. Is it a colonnade? I don't know what it's called. When they did that back in the day, some kind of barricade maybe. Now I'm cheating a little bit here, but I wouldn't do anything I wouldn't stay on the ground.
You are cheating a little bit. Just as a reminder, we've recorded this episode already.
Yeah. So now, what would I do to get out of here? I'm in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, and the Amazon rainforest is absolutely huge, so I don't know where I am. And would I attempt to leave the area to find out where I am? If there's something I can see near me that I could find, but then still see the plane, I'd probably leave to go and see that just to get some kind of idea of where it was. Or if there was a tree that was sturdy enough that I could climb, maybe I'd climb up to see up there. But I'd be mega worried about like insects up the tree. That would scare the shit out of me.
So just to give you something to work with here, jaguars, which are freaking badass. Caimans, which are essentially like they can get up to 20 foot, essentially like crocodiles. Anaconda, one of the largest snakes in the world. Ambushes in water, kills by constriction. Human attacks are very rare, but it can take capybaras, deer, and even caimans. Ocelot and pumas. Then in the water, you get piranhas, electric eels, poison frog, dart frog. Sorry. There are
most poisonous animal.
Yep. There are 3 other venomous snakes, and there are spiders and scorpions as well. There are also mosquitoes, which could carry malaria, dengue, and yellow fever, botflies, which lays eggs in skins, and larvae burrow under the skin. Kissing bugs carry Cargus disease, and army ants, which can swarm en masse, stripping small animals. So this is all the stuff you have to contend with.
I'd probably just set the plane alight with me inside it.
Yeah, it is a little bit crazy. So anything else you want to add before I go through what has actually been recommended as the top survival tips for this?
Well, I would try and find some way of communicating to the outside world. Hopefully, I'd check the system on the plane first. Is the radio intact? All that sort of stuff, because that would be the easiest way. If not, I need to find a way of signaling to people. So if their plane had a flare, cool. If not, it's going to be a big old fire.
So, okay, just as a quick recap.
Set fire to the whole Amazon rainforest for people to find me.
That's a good idea. Yeah. And then they'll just plant it with palm fruit. So, as a quick recap, in a nutshell, what are you doing in the first 24 hours from shelter to water collection to animal deterrence?
So it'd be shelter, warmth. So that'll be the main things. So I'll probably stay in the plane, but if I can't, then I'll make some kind of shelter off the plane in some kind of aspect. Warmth, whatever I can find in the plane that is lightable, and then lighting that, and then trying to dry off sticks whilst I'm doing that. Water, I would try not to cheat. What did I say last time? I would try and find a near water source, is what I said last time, as well as maybe tapping a tree. If there's any possibility of tapping a tree, I would do that. Food, I can last a little while without food, but maybe trying to find some insects or animals that I can eat. My problem is I don't know which ones I can and can't, so got to be careful there. Other than that, I think I'm just fucking hoping, man.
So let's get into this. In terms of best practices, let's have a look. We're going to in terms of shelter, you've got the plane. That's going to be the most obvious one. You don't want to leave the plane anyway, because if it did have a black box or it's been tracked, people are way more likely to see that. So that's good. Shelter and water are the first in terms of the critical get done, and that is from the Red Cross Disaster Preparedness Guide. So food is less critical in the first week, just because you're going to be able to find stuff and probably eat the bugs and insects for a start. Plus, you've got half a pack of nuts, so that's good. But always water is going to be more important than food to start with. always stay with the wreckage. The wreckage is visible from the air sometimes, although if the wreckage itself isn't, I expect where it crashed will be visible somewhat, so people will be able to see something from the air as well. And that is from the US Air Survival Guide Manual. Shelter off the ground is really recommended, so you can improvise with vines and branches to reduce insects and the flooding risk because it is wet season. And that is from the WWF Amazon Survival Guidance. Now, water collection, probably the easiest way, because it is wet season again, would be collecting rainwater with a tarp or with, say, there was a parachute on board or something like that, something that you found from there. And that is the CDC waterborne disease prevention. And I guess you'd want to filter that somewhat as well. In terms of the fire, I think I did mention this last time, but there's probably going to be some sort of jet fuel left. If the plane is still left, it obviously hasn't gone up in flames. So there's going to be some jet fuel, which will pretty much set alight to anything. So that will give you a good way to start a fire, even with wet wood. And wet stuff does create more smoke, as we learned on our survival course in Dartmoor. So that gives you plenty of way to create that. Now, in terms of animals are usually going to be a little bit wary of unnatural presence anyway. So the fact that there's a plane there and you're inside it, possibly with a fire going on around it, you're going to hear and see a lot around it, including a lot of glowing eyes. But you're probably safer in the plane than anywhere else. They probably won't come and have a look on it. There's probably someone who might listen to this one day who's been in the Amazon and they're like, no, they're going to come and eat you alive. It's going to be like a tin of sardines. But that is generally the accepted way.
Have you seen that movie with Daniel Radcliffe in, where he played that guy who got lost in the Amazon and then had to find his way out?
I think that's just called literally Jungle, isn't it? No, I haven't seen it. Is it any good?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's brutal, but it's good.
No, I need to watch that. You can, for the water, by the way, you can boil it as well and filter it, but you just do have to make sure it is properly filtered to make sure everything is okay. So in terms of avoiding other stuff, then basically the fire will keep the insects away and stuff like that. So just try to do that. Also, the smell of fuel will keep insects away. And that's pretty much it. So focus on the shelter first, focus on the water, and then just doing what you can to make yourself as air quotes comfortable as possible in that scenario and try to get as much attention as you can. And also building the shelter off the ground, that should stop things. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that is our clueless guide to surviving a plane crash in the Amazon. Also, in terms of clothing, you want to be wearing long sleeve everything to avoid like skin contact with anything else. I don't know how warm it would be during wet season. I'm guessing it's not going to be freaking cold.
No, the other thing, warm still.
Yeah, it would be. The other thing I was thinking about is you'll have foam from the seats, and they could be used both for fire lighting and for making some sort of filter for the water as well. So that could, just use whatever you have got. And if you snap one of the propellers off, you can make it like a machete if you sharpen it on a stone. I know that because she does it in Tomb Raider, the third Tomb Raider game. So there you go.
There you go.
You learn a lot from gaming. Right. So that is the Clueless Survival Guide. Guys, we're going to wrap up the episode there, but I just want to reiterate the 24-hour challenge. The theme of this episode was resilience, and I want you to go out and do whatever you think is the most relevant but hardest thing you can do in the next 24 hours, and let us know in the comments what you decide.
Yeah, we want to know.
We want to know. Guys, you can, first of all, like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the stuff to get us attention on this episode, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple iTunes, Apple Music, whatever it's called now. And yeah, just share it all over the place. Subscribe on all three. I don't care if you don't own all three. It's worth it just to do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just get it done. Commit. Become resilient. Listen to these entire episodes. And yeah, you can find me, Jack, at Horizon Strength, and you can find Josh wherever you can find him.
Horizon Coach Josh.
Horizon Coach Josh. There you go. Look for us everywhere. We will see you in 2 weeks' time.
See you later.
Bye.